Hello, good morning and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host Owen James, the channel that brings you your team every single day, guys, all free of charge, no paywalls, no hidden content, no £4.50 or £5 or £2.50 a month to access our content here on the channel. So please like and subscribe. Right, so let's move it on. Last night, Rangers obviously winning 6-0. Probably the best performance of the season so far, the best 45-minute performance of the season so far. Rangers going in 1-0 at half time, but I think the first half was poor. I genuinely believe the first half was very poor indeed. Football was scrappy, it was disjointed, it was slow, it was typical, chronically boring, turgid Rangers stuff. Yet second half, it seemed they kicked into gear. It seems we can only play for a half. Something that's going to need to be addressed by Philippe Clement and his staff ahead of the upcoming week. I mean, obviously, Ross County, I suppose, is less of an issue, although we did lose 3-2 in Dingwall last year after, obviously, two horrific Cyril Dessers misses in that game, which could have easily won us the game. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, that performance last night, the last 45 minutes was absolutely excellent from Rangers, and perhaps, what we've all been hoping to start to see from the team. Like I said, a 45-minute performance is needed. Last night's results, Dundee 4, Motherwell 1. Obviously, our 6-0 looks very good indeed there. Then you've got there, obviously, the Celtic winning 1-0 at Aberdeen. A very fortunate victory for them last night. Again, pretty much a scrape it performance. I suppose they'd argue that's what champions do. So 14 games they've played, 13 drawn, 1 yet to lose this season, 40 points. Aberdeen now played a game more than Celtic in second place, 7 points behind Celtic. Rangers sitting third, only 4 points behind Aberdeen with a game in hand. If you win that game in hand, obviously it comes down to a point. But more importantly, we are 11 points still behind Celtic, which is very much unacceptable for any Rangers team. Certainly something this man needs to address very quickly, or he'll find his arse kicked firmly out of the door. So last night's performance, I mean, look, I think 6-0, was a very good scoreline. I mean, it could have easily, I think, even been more. Goals from Tavernier, Danilo, Hamza, Cerny, and Dessers. I have to say that, a few things that really stood out for me last night, rather than go through the whole game and individual performances, I suppose, you've got to look at, I think, the difference that is being made by certain players and certain individuals within this team. I thought the players, last night, I thought Nicholas Raskin was absolutely outstanding last night. I mean, I think, the move away from having only one sitting midfielder at home to one sitter, one attacker, I think worked really, really well. It was a good response by Philippe Clement, and he certainly deserves some praise for that. Raskin did exactly what was needed of him in that sixth role, broke up attacks, started attacks, and the fact that, he ended the game with a massive bandage on his head and was nicknamed by heart and hand Raskin C. Nesbitt, I think, which is, quite typical of his battling spirit, obviously showing a lot more get up and go and get up and fight than Rab C. Nesbitt ever showed. But, Raskin never gave up last night. He fought, he battled, he played very well indeed. And I was very impressed with Raskin last night. And he certainly seems to be becoming the player we thought he was when we purchased him from Antwerp. So, Liège, wasn't it? One of those two. Some Belgian club that plays in red. Don't really care who. I think one of the things that worked really well for me was the front three yesterday. And I think, that kind of gives us I think that gives us the front three for the rest of the season. I think where possible, obviously Europe aside, given the fact that obviously, Danilo is not in the European squad, we certainly need to be going with Cerny, Danilo and Hamza up top. Those three looked excellent. Now, I know Cyril Dessers came on and scored 2 goals late on, but I think personally that is his best position. Dessers coming in off the bench. The guy's not a starter. I think, if you look at what do Hamza and Danilo bring and Cerny bring to the attacking three that Dessers doesn't. Well, movement, link-up play, speed, skill, just all-round talent. I mean, if you look at what they did last night, their movement was a constant nightmare for Kilmarnock, and I think that's what made the difference against that low block. So often in the past, Rangers have really struggled to break down low blocks with boring, slow, predictable play. When you've got a target man kind of centre forward like a Cyril Dessers who will just stand up there against the last man, it makes him so much easier to mark and so much harder to play through that low block. I think, it's no secret that, not playing with him up top, starting with Danilo and Hamza, whose movement is so much better, it just makes the play better. It makes the play quicker. It just improves the all-round standard of the play. So I think going forward, if Clement has got half a brain, he will start with Danilo and Hamza for the rest of the season. I certainly don't want to see Cyril Dessers start any more games this season for Rangers. But, I think Hamza last night started to show in flashes as well of the kind of player that we've got there. I mean, taking on players, beating them, first touch, excellent, trying things like that little flick that McCrory saved. All-round play, very good from Hamza last night. And I think people said, it was a 4-4-2. I don't think it was a 4-4-2 last night. I think it was more a 4-3-3 with fluid movement in the front three. There's the times when Hamza was on the left wing, then he was on the right wing, and then he was in the middle. There was times when Danilo was left, Danilo was right, Danilo was central. Cerny even put up on the left at one point. So it wasn't a 4-4-2 last night by any stretch of the imagination. It was more a 4-3-3 with fluidity in that three for me last night. And I thought that worked really well. And I think, a lot of people have been crying out for us to play a 4-3-3 this season. So I think that works very, very well. I still think we're a midfielder short. I think that's something we need to address in the January transfer window. Diamande looking very much lost at this moment in time. I don't think he had a very good game again last night. Now, the player for me that's made a massive, massive difference to this team is this man here, Ianis Hagi. I thought Ianis Hagi again was absolutely excellent last night, recording obviously he's recording now 3 assists in 2 games. But it's not just those assists that Hagi provides. It's his all-round play. I mean, if you look at what Hagi does on the park, and for those of you who are kind of struggling to, I've seen and read some comments saying, well, I don't get Hagi's pish, blah blah blah. Well, obviously you don't understand. If you're saying Hagi's not a good footballer and not technically a good footballer, and he's playing pish at the moment, then I don't genuinely think you understand football. Hagi links play exceptionally well between defence, the midfield and the attack. He's always offering for the ball. He is clever with his passes. He's quick with his passes. He is the playmaker that we've been missing so badly this season. The role that Tom Lawrence could not do. The way he prompts, the way he links with Cerny, links with Hamza. Often it's not that he's going to... I mean, look, I think a lot of people want him as the 10 role to run at people, beat 3 or 4 players and smash it in the back of the net. But that's not Hagi's game. He's not a player who has that speed or the dribbling ability to go past players. Hagi's playmaking skill comes from his passing, his movement, his vision, his football intelligence. Like I said, if you look at what he did last night, you look at these 2 assists that he got last night, that free kick that was saved well by McCrory. And it's always him there, ready to receive the ball from the back 4, ready to receive the ball from Raskin, then turn and start off an attack to prompt a pass, to play it onto the left into Jefte in space, or play it to the right to Cerny into space. It was clever play all the time. And Hagi seems to make that team tick over. He is a very intelligent footballer. He is technically very, very good. You've only got to look at his performances through the Euros to see that. And now we're starting to see that in the Rangers team. And I think what is quite remarkable for me is we're seeing an upturn in results, an upturn in the quality of performances, an upturn in the play when Ianis is on the pitch. There's got to be a correlation there between him being there and the improvement in results, the improvement in quality of play. He is the man who is that prompter. He's the guy who's the playmaker. He's the guy who it all goes through. I would urge you, if you're saying that he's not good enough, go back and watch the game. Watch and pay particular attention to Hagi, how he receives the ball, how he turns, how he moves the ball on, how he looks for little gaps, little spaces to thread passes through, and how he won't hang on to the ball for too long. He'll get it, move it, get it, move it, get it, move it. And it's that gives the momentum to the attack. The longer you hold the ball is the more that the game gets slowed down. And Hagi doesn't do that. He moves it quickly. He gets attacks going much, much quicker. And for me, he's made a huge, huge difference. I mean, don't get me wrong, having Danilo back, I'm really glad that he got the goal. And obviously having Hamza as well, and obviously that Raskin in that 6 role, I think does make a massive difference. I think having strikers that are mobile, that are quick, makes a massive difference to this team. And like I said, if hopefully Clement, has learnt from this and he will not start Dessers again. Look, if you look across Dessers' career, he's been more successful coming off the bench anyway. And the majority of his goals at Feyenoord came off the bench. But I know all here. We'll hear from all the Dessersites, the lovers of Dessers, the D9 lovers, the Desserdinos, whatever, that he should start. He scored 2 goals, blah, blah, blah. Absolute pish, absolute rubbish. You don't understand football. But look, I mean, I think for me, this man has made the biggest difference whatsoever. He is just different class. He is quality. And for me, man of the match again last night. I mean, man of the match performances last night. Hamza was good. Danilo was good. Cerny was good again. Cerny was excellent again. I thought taking players on, being direct, moving the ball quickly, attacking. Really kind of try to pull the strings as well. And the link play between Cerny and between Hagi is absolutely excellent. Really was. For me, there was only one downside to last night. And that was the fact that we didn't have more young players on the bench. The fact that the first change subs, when you look at them, you look at the subs and you're bringing on Dowell, you're bringing on Dessers, for me, it's the wrong changes to be making. You shouldn't be bringing Dessers on at that point. You shouldn't be bringing on Dowell at that point. You should be bringing on Bailey Rice. You should be bringing on Zach Lovelace when he's fit. You should be bringing on Finlay Curtis. They're the types of players you should be bringing on. At that point when you're 4-0 up, that's the opportunity to see those young players. And I think Clement really missed a trick last night by not putting some of those young players on the bench. Yes, they may have had a game earlier in the week, but or whatever. But the first team comes first. The first team has to come first. You say to the B team coach, whatever, I'm sorry, but I need Curtis, I need Rice, I need Uncio, I need them for the first team. And you put them in the first team. That's where they're going to learn more. That's where they're going to progress more. So if that was kind of the only downside of last night, that we didn't have young players on the bench, and at 4-0 we could have brought them on at that point. And I think, look, Kieran Dowell, I mean, nothing against Kieran Dowell, but I really don't see last night he was absolutely anonymous again on that park. I mean, to be honest with you, you could have gone and got a fan out of the stands, stuck a pair of boots on him and say, go and do what Kieran Dowell did. And I don't think it would have made an even difference. Even a 30-stone bloke probably wouldn't have made a lot of, would have been better than Dowell was last night. But at that point, that's where I wanted to see those youngsters coming on. And that's something we do need to work on going forward, is getting the young players more involved in first team football and blooding them and giving them experience, moving forward. Obviously, the big news of today is that the AGM takes place. No doubt it will be a whole series of very pointless stage-managed questions, with the typical ridiculously stupid question from the North Island supporters groups, which is, when can we park our buses closer? Which obviously is vitally important to the running of the club. That's a question. That's not a question for an AGM. Why are the pies so cold? Again, not a question for an AGM. These are questions that don't need to be asked at this point. These are for forums and things like that. And I would urge supporters that were there today to not ask those ridiculously stupid questions about things like bus parking, etc., etc. That isn't important. It doesn't impact the running of the club. Today is about the running of the club and taking this club forward. And I really hope there is someone there to hold this board to account for the shambles of the way they run this football club. The Park family, who need to go now, through all of them, that just run this club like some Sunday League football team. That needs to be addressed today at the AGM. Obviously, be really interested to see what comes out of that. We'll obviously have an update once that emerges today. Well, thanks for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. Please obviously smash the like, smash that sub. Comment and share, that'd be great. Thank you for watching, and as always, remember